Good morning, everyone. I hope this finds you well. Hello, Vesta. How's everything in your neck of the woods? My bangs are not falling like they're supposed to. I have been fussing with them all morning. Hello, Linda and Vicki. Good morning, good morning. So it is rather chilly here in Northwest Ohio this morning. We got down, or we're supposed to get down into the 30s last night, and we're going to get down into the 30s again tonight. Some areas are even supposed to see some frost. So the season is changing, and it is, officially fall. So it's my favorite season, and I'd like to know what your favorite season is. So put that down in the comments, and we'll see where everybody just falls on their favorite time of the year. Today's project is reflecting fall. I'm going to be using the online exclusives, Gathering Moments. I'm going to be using the sign design punch and a stamp from that bundle. I'm going to be using the sentiments from Branching Out, which is in the new mini. And so a lot of product from a lot of different places. So I hope you see something that you like. And as far as some news, the Join special for, you got two options of getting the Stampin' Up! Starter Kit. That runs through the 31st of this month. And I want to say I've got 4 new team members so far, and I'm hoping that maybe some other people want to be a chirpy stamper and come on board. So I'm really excited about that. And the other thing I want to hint about, because there will be an announcement coming soon. This isn't from Stampin' Up! This is from me. After 5 years of the barn quilts, I'm going to be changing it up a bit. So they're not going away, but I am making some changes for 2026. So look for some news coming about that. Okay, I'm going to turn the camera around and we're going to get started, and then I'll run through the comments and see who's all here and continue to say good morning to you. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, just moving. You know what? I'm going to move the computer out of the way first. Okay, so if you get seasick or you have motion sickness, I'm going to try to do this slowly. There we go. Hopefully that didn't bother too many people. And I'm going to adjust my lighting a little bit also. I'm getting kind of bright. But I want you to be able to see also. So we'll take a look and see what that looks like on the computer. Okay, not too bad. I'm thinking I want to move that light a little bit that way. Okay, so let's see who's here. Hi, Ornetta and Stephanie. Another Linda. Linda, Christmas came early for Linda. Jasmine and Sue. Susan, Shirley, Sherry, Kathy. Let's see, who else am I missing? Ruby. And there's Jane and Kathy and Sandra, Vicky. Sharon, Sherry, Melinda. Oh my goodness. Eleanor, another Linda. Is anybody keeping count of our Lindas to make sure that they're all here? Hi, Suzanne and Peggy and Kathy. Okay. I hope I didn't forget anybody. It scrolls really fast. So, yeah, so let's look at the product that I'm going to be using. Okay, so the Gathering Moments, this is the stamp set, and what I did, these are the, it's the style that this stamps, it's escaping me. Does it say here? Somebody want to help me out where it shows the, is it distinctive? Maybe distinctive stamping. So the shading is already in the stamp. So I stamped some of the leaves and then I die cut them out. I don't think I used anything else from there. Like I mentioned, the sentiments are from Branching Out. I'm using hello and thinking of you brings joy to my heart. And then sign design, I'm using this frame right here. And then there's a coordinating punch that goes with it. So we got that going on. And then I'm using the Gathering Leaves embossing folder, the Cajun Craze and gold dots, and then I'm also using, now this is from a different suite, but it's the black and white and gold baker's twine. Either one of these will work. Even though this says black, it really can lend to a dark brown like early espresso. But if you don't have that and you want to use some twine or linen thread, you could use the early espresso and old olive thread pack. So another option for you, okay? So yeah, so now you have an idea what I'm using. It's so nice to be back with everybody. It's kind of like that kind of bittersweet thing about not going live every week is missing you. But I just feel so much more creative and feel like I can really bring you so much more. So, you know, it's a give and take kind of thing. And I'll be live this week, next week, and the week after. But the very last Thursday in October, I won't be because I will be out of town pet sitting. And so, you know, it's just easier not to have anything going on. And the Barn Quilt Live will be recorded. So it'll still go, quote, live. It'll air at 8:30 p.m. on the 31st, which is Halloween night. I'll be able to watch it with you and hopefully be able to respond to some of your comments. But that will be recorded. So let's bring in, yesterday I gave you some prep if you wanted to create along with me today. We're going to be doing our cutting together. I will give you time to screenshot a pattern that I've done up, but don't fret if you don't do it because it's going to be part of the PDF. I'll scan this template. It'll be part of the PDF and then you'll be able to get those dimensions. So we're just going to do this together. Hello, Diane. Hi, Judy and Jane. Hi, Deborah. Thank you for being here. Card base. I've got a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of basic beige. I got in a hurry making my buttons and I put glue on the back of this button, so I had to put it down early. So that's why that's there. It's like, what do I do with this now that I've got glue on the back? I've got my leaves that I stamped. Isn't that so pretty? The thing about distinctive ink images is you don't want your ink pad to be really wet. You may have to push the ink to the side with like a plastic spoon, and that will give you your best images. Luckily, my ink pads need inked, but they're going to wait until I'm done using the stamp set so that I don't have to worry about that. And then this is that punch and stamped hello right in there. So that's my little cluster there. And then the inside of my card I stamped with the thinking of you brings joy to my heart. And then I have a bunch of the leaves left over, so I just glued one of the die cuts down there in the corner. And we're actually going to build our pattern on our card base. Now, if you don't want to do it on your card base, and a reason might be that what I found is I can't turn my card base so that the leaves of the embossing folder were, I don't know if this is meant to be that the leaves the stems are pointing downward, but what I realized was I am not really worried about that. But if you have a directional quilting pattern that you want it to go a certain way, you may want to take a piece of 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch. It can be another piece of cardstock. It can be something thinner like the two-tone cardstock, that you can build your pattern on it, run it through the embossing folder the way you want it to be, and then adhere it to the card base. It's just going to give it a little bit more stability. But I am actually going to work on the card base just so that I'm keeping in mind. I wanted to see how it would work so that I'm not getting too heavy of a card. Okay, so this was an experiment, but I want to share it with you, okay? Hi, Allison and Jessica. Okay, so let me get my little cheat sheet here. And as far as designer series paper, we have a 1 1/4 by 2 3/4, and I have 4 strips that are 3/4 of an inch by the full length. If you have scraps, that is fine. I just thought this would be an easier way to teach. And actually, I'm going to be using all 8 patterns. Okay? So I just took 4 that, they all work well together. Stampin' Up! Figures that out for us for the most part. And this is a very scrappy pattern. So I didn't have to put too much thought into it, okay? It's just going to be where I want the patterns to fall. And I do have one here I'm going to set out of your sight so you don't see the design that I am going to use to kind of mimic what I did before. Okay, so let's get busy. Let's get this stuff out of the way. We're gonna, with a pen, not pen, don't use a pen. In pencil, or you could do the score, you could put your lines on your card base with your scorer. But with the basic beige being so light, I scored, but I think I'm going to go over it in pencil so that you can see the design, okay? So you've got your 4 1/4 by 11. Let's go ahead and let's put at 5 1/2, we're going to score our card base, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring it back to the right, and I am going to score at 1 3/8. So 1 3/8 is between 1 1/2 and 1 1/4. So I'm going to score at 1 3/8. What I am trying to do here is I want to find the center of the front of my card, and it needs to be a rectangle. So by putting in these grid lines, or using, like what I could do is I could put, now I know my ruler is 1 inch wide, so I'm going to line it up on the throat of my trimmer here, the plate, and I'm just going to follow the groove line. And this may not be perfect because I'm working away from myself. but you can see what I'm doing. I'm marking out my grid so that I know where to put my very first piece. Okay, now I'm going to move it over to 4 1/8. So 4 1/8 is between 4 and 4 1/4. And I can score, which I did, but I want to show you in pencil what that looks like, okay? So I've got my 2 lines right there. And we don't have to worry about doing any erasing, okay? So now I am going to turn my card base, and I need to make some vertical lines. Now I'm going to turn it upside down because I don't have the room for my card to spill out that way. But I need to make some vertical lines. So I am going to do this at 1 1/2. And you don't even have to score all the way down to your the score line you made to fold your card in half. You don't have to do that. All we need is a line that just extends a little bit past both of the lines that we drew. Oh boy. And I don't have I don't have my lines to go by, but it's okay. I'm just going to get in the ballpark, okay? But I do have it scored, so I'll be able to see it. But see how I just put that there? We don't even really have to put the other line in. As long as I have this shape right here, I know where that other piece is going. But if you want to put the other line in, you're going to go move it to 2 3/4. 2 3/4. And put your other line in. I don't even know how straight that's going to be. I'm going to fold my card base so that you can see what I've done here a little better. It's so long when it's not folded. Okay. Where did that brush come from? Okay. So here's the front of my card. You can kind of see that what I've got here is a rectangle in the middle. Okay, we'll let it catch up here. So that's what we just did. We needed to find that rectangle in the middle. Okay, this isn't square, hold on. Kind of force this. If it will cooperate with me. If not, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, I just want it to lay a little flatter. And this is a top fold. You could still do this with a 5 1/2 by 8 1/2 sheet of cardstock. All your directions are on the template. And let's see, let's bring in our designer series paper. So I'm going to be cutting and gluing as I go along. I thought about, just pre-cutting all the pieces, but then I thought, you know what? This isn't going to take that long. So I'm going to cut with everybody else. Hi, Sharon. So nice that you could drop in. Hi, Marilyn. Hi, Ellen. Did I miss anything? Hi, Allison. Okay. Where do you... Oh, okay, you're not talking to me. Okay. I love that you guys have conversations among yourselves. So this 1 1/4 by 2 3/4, that's going to sit right there in the middle of your card base. So you can go ahead and put your adhesive on. And just line up your piece here. So that is the very first step of our card. Now I'm going to have my trimmer with me. So what we're doing is we are doing a rectangular log cabin, but I'm not focused on having darks in one corner and lights in the opposite corner. It's very scrappy. If you want to keep with that traditional log cabin pattern and keep certain colors, you know, diagonally in one half of your card, diagonal, you know, the other side light, that's great. But do one scrappy first, and then you can go back and you can tweak it to have your colors fall another way. Okay? So, number 2. So, okay, you know what? Since I already revealed that it's a log cabin, if you want to screenshot this template, I'm going to let it sit here for a moment so that you can screenshot the template. I'm going to have to back it out a little bit so that you can get, well, you might not get all of the information, but, and then again, you might, okay, you might be able to see it. You might be able to see the numbers, but you can take a screenshot of this and then follow along while you're waiting for the PDF, which should be this evening, okay? But there you can screenshot that real quick. Okay, now I'm going to zoom in again. And number 1 was our center. Okay, so now we're going to go up here to number 2. And if you want to write things down, number 2, so they're all 3/4 of an inch wide. Okay, all the strips are 3/4 of an inch wide. Number 2 is 3/4 of an inch by 1 1/4. So I'm going to bring my trimmer in, and I am going to choose, this one, and I'm going to make this 1 1/4. And I'm going to work I'm going to work on this as I go. And it's going to get glued right above number 1. We're going to work clockwise around our card base. And if you're off a little bit, try to even it out. It happens to me all the time. I find a way to make it work. Number 3 is right here, okay? And number 3 is 3/4 of an inch by 3 1/2. And so I'm looking, what I did, you guys, to make it easy instead of like figuring out everything, whatever color I started with, like the side of the DSP, I just flipped it over and it became so that I used the other side. That way I'm not looking through everything. This is very scrappy, and it took some thinking out of it for me. So I just flipped that same strip over, and I'm going to use the B side, okay? And then this is going to get glued right along the 2 pieces that we just put down, okay? So every time I use a strip, I'm just going to make sure that I've used both sides. And you just want to make sure that this is butted up against there, and you want to have some nice straight lines. Okay. Number 4 is going to run underneath, and number 4 is 3/4 of an inch by 2. So I'm done with that strip for now. Let's see, which strip did I use? I'm getting myself all confused. Okay, I think it's, I don't know. Okay, so it's this one right here, and number 4 is 3/4 by 2. And that's going to go underneath. Now I'm looking at this and I'm like, oh, wow. I kind of got my lights over here like a traditional log cabin, but that is not what my plan was. Okay, and this is going to go underneath. Now here's where I can explain to you where you've got some grace. As soon as we start working on the very outside of our card base, the strips are going to be wider than what you actually need. And the reason why is because I didn't know if you wanted me to have you start cutting in really odd numbers, like 16ths and stuff. So 3/4 of an inch was very rounded. It's going to shorten up 2 and 4. They won't be as wide, but you don't even notice it. I just had to come round a number off that made it easy so that you weren't having to remember, oh, this strip needs to be this and this strip needs to be a little bit off. I was just trying to make it easier. So that's why I settled on 3/4 of an inch. So if you're off a little bit, see right here where in my cutting, I was either wider somewhere in here, but I fell short right here. I can see a little corner of a strip before that. What's great about the 3/4 of an inch, it's going to overlap when we come back around to that side. So I'm not really worried about that little tiny bit to be, to be there. So that will all happen as we move around. Number 5, which is going to go over on this side, is 3/4 of an inch by 4 1/4. So I'm going to turn that piece of paper over. I'm going to cut it to 4 1/4 inches. I'm down here at the bottom of my trimmer. You can't see it. But here's going to be my next piece. And what I love about this is the scrappiness. And right before I kind of stopped quilting and making quilts, my favorite patterns were really chunky, bold patterns. I'm going to turn this around so it's a little easier for me to look at here. So I was buying pattern books that had really big chunky blocks so that my quilt patterns went together a lot faster because I didn't have the patience anymore. And it let me stay with quilting, but I didn't lose interest as fast. So here we've got our center is building up and we're building out. So now that we're going to go up to number 6, number 6 is 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. And I think I'm going to use this. Oh my goodness, this is going to work out that I am keeping kind of my lights on one side. How crazy is that? So 2 3/4. 2 3/4. And what I'm going to do is this is going to overlap the ones before. But here's where I don't have to give you a different width to have to worry about. It's just going to overlap the ones before. It's going to shorten up the ones in the middle just a little bit. No big deal. I mean, you have to just... Oh, wait a minute. I think I want this side. Okay, so I'm not going to have all of them. I'm gonna flip it over. Okay? So you get to decide real quick which side you want to... I was looking at contrast there. So I'm just going to put this kind of up to my my score line up there. And remember, if you're off a little bit, just center it. Because these outside pieces are going to cover up where you fall short. And you only should be falling short a little bit. So that's why I'm not worried about it. And now going around, you really don't have to be precise on the length since we're overlapping a lot of stuff, but I still pay attention to that. Number 7 is only going to come down to where this stops here. So that's 4 7/8. 4 7/8. Whoops. Now that one's done. This strip is done. Where is it? Oh, okay. 4 7/8, and I'm going to put it right out to the edge, and yes, it is going to overlap some. Okay, like that. And number 8 is 3 1/4 by 3 1/2. So I'm going to use the Cajun Craze size so that my leaves, all my color ends up over here. 3 1/2. 3 1/2. Is it 3 1/2? What is 8? Yeah, 3 1/2. Again, I'm more concerned that I'm all the way out to the edge and I know it's going to overlap. I cut it a little short. I saw that I should adjust it and I just kept going. But that's because I knew. Make sure that I'm pushed out to the outside edges. And then this last strip is the length of your front of your card, which is 5 1/2. And then that's going to get glued over to this side. So what we've done is a Scrappy. Oh my gosh. Good thing my cluster is going in that area. I always hold my paper so like delicately, and I need to like have a hold of it so that doesn't happen. But I always treat it like it's so delicate. And I dropped it. It's okay. I've got an adhesive eraser nearby if I need it, but I know where my cluster's going, so I'm kind of okay. So there's our Scrappy rectangular log cabin, and it's on my card base, eliminating a layer. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to run this through the embossing folder. Now my leaves are technically going to be upside down. I do not mind that at all, because in order to emboss it, I need to place it in my folder and go to the bottom there. I have to run it through my machine with the fold going in, and that's what makes my leaves be pointing the other direction, but I'm not worried about that. So I'm going to step to the side a second so that I can run this through. As I had mentioned before, if you're settling on a embossing folder for your quilting that you want it to be a certain direction, you may want to build your block on a 4 1/4 by 5 inch piece of foundation, and then you can put it right over the top of your card. So you know, we just always have to be thinking along different lines sometimes. We always, you know, I'm the type of person who I like to have a plan A, B, C, and D, at least, if I can. So if one doesn't work out, I know what my next try is going to be, right? So here I've got my quilting. It's a beautiful folder. Really, really is a beautiful folder. But what I really love, you guys, is I've got texture on the inside of my card base. It is so pretty. You've got the debossed image, but you know, when they open it, look, the leaves are going the right way. So, I mean, it eventually works out, right? So, it works out. So that's the quilting. And then, while I'm looking at the inside of my card, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue in my insert. What's left to do now is to add your cluster of a greeting and some fun stuff to go around it. I do a lot of pre-stamping because I am not a good stamper, you guys. I'm in it for the piecing and the patterns. I don't feel like I get enough practice stamping, and I'm so self-conscious about it in front of you. So I do a lot of pre-stamping, I think to save myself some embarrassment, maybe. But let's take a look at our punch, the sign design punch, which makes that shape right there. So what I did was I used the outline stamp, and I stamped in early espresso, and then I punched it out, and then I stamped hello so that I could center it. And thank goodness for photopolymer stamps. I know there's a lot of talk, a lot of demonstrators are talking about the changes that are coming. We'll see them with the November online exclusives. That things are going all to photopolymer. And I remember back in the day, I did not like photopolymer stamps because one silly reason is that they turn colors when you put them to ink and clean them, and that just turned me off. I love that I could see what I'm doing, but that one little tiny thing was like making me keep photopolymer at arm's length. So I was a red rubber person. Well, then I can't get anything straight with red rubber to save my life. That label can be on the back straight as can be, and I will still make it crooked. So now I'm all about photopolymer because I'm like, you know what? I can accept that stamp is now a different color because at least I can see what I'm doing. So with the photopolymer, I could get my hello in there and not have to do something over again. And then what I did was I just adhered a couple of the different leaves there to the side. And I've got these on, I've got my label on some dimensionals there, a whole lot of dimensionals. I don't like saggy bits in my card, so that might be overload for somebody. I'm going to be working in this area right here, and I want to be aware of where this is, but I also have a bigger leaf that I want to put in there. So I just want to, and I think I better glue this baby down first, because I don't think I'm going to be able to tuck with as many, I was just going to tuck it underneath, but you see how many dimensionals I got going on right there, right? I think it's going to block the leaf. So we're just going to glue him down right there. And then I'm going to put my sentiment on here. Oh, it's a little crooked. Hold on. I'm going to have to pick it up. I can see if I'm straight or not. That's better. Okay, so there's that. And then I'm going to tuck this little leaf right up underneath. So I've got some greenery coming down from underneath my label. Okay, so here's my little cluster. Can throw that away. And now I'm going to bring in that black and white and the black, white, and gold Baker's twine, I believe. Yeah, Baker's twine. I'm going to go with the darker so I can bring more, like, make it look kind of like it's early espresso. And what I'm going to do is I'm folding it in half because I want to make a double bow. Whoops. And this stuff is slippery. It's almost like I just gotta hope and pray that I can stick it through that loop and catch it on the other side because it is slippery to hold on to. There we go. And then I'll pull on this tail to shorten that side. That side I'm pretty okay with. Let's just snug it. And then I always have extra bits that fall off, but my fingers I think are too wide. I can't make bows without having to throw a little bit away. So here's my bow that's gonna go right there. So I'm gonna attach that with a glue dot. Going to come over here right above all those leaves. And then I'm going to cover up where the two leaves meet right here with the Cajun, Craze, and gold dots. So I'm going to take a big one. I'm going to set that right there. And then I'm going to take a middle-sized one. I'm going to go right there, and I'm going to take a teeny tiny one and put it right there, keeping my embellishments close to my cluster here. And that is today's mystery card. So it's a log cabin. We changed the shape. Traditionally, log cabin blocks are square, but this is like a patchwork scrappy layout to help you use up your designer series paper so that you can buy more of the new stuff that comes out. And this can go really quickly. So I want to show you how different they can look when you move the colors around, okay? So this is the one that we just did. This is all, I believe, the same paper, but you can just see how different and fun each one is when you just start with a different color in the center and then work your way around it. Now there's another one that has that. But aren't they fun? Here's this one here. But they all look so different. Yes, Sharon, Christmas. This is a layout that you can use for any designer series paper. Valentine's, Halloween, I mean, any designer series paper is going to work with this layout, and it helps you use up those 3/4 inch widths that you might get when you're trimming down your designer series paper. So, you know, let's use up some of that, and if you wanted to, you could put another full piece on the back, or at least a 4 by 5 1/4 if you wanted to use up even more of your designer series paper, because in quilt cards we don't cut our pieces big enough that we really can, like, it's not a stash buster at all when it comes to quilt cards. So if you want to use up more of your DSP, you need to find bigger areas to put it. And the back of your card is always a great place to put another large piece of designer series paper. Now I want to show you something else I did with this layout that I'm still on the fence if I like it or not, but I had to try it. Okay, so here is the front of my card, right? This was like one of the first ones I did. But what if, before we adorn it and get it all finished, let's say from the score line up here, we slice it in half at 2 1/8, and then we have something like this. So it looks whole when it's closed, but it's done in half. You can put a shorter greeting over here. Maybe you don't have a lot that you want to say, so you can shorten up the space. Now, I'm still on the fence. I don't know. But here's just another variation of the same layout. If you want to play around with that, just cut it in half before you get all done with it. And then it's kind of like an illusion. It looks like it lays like it's a whole card, but when you open it, it's half. So there are some ideas, and look, now this was, so here's the light color thread that's in that 2-pack, and I think I might have used some linen thread on one. No, I don't think I did. So it's just those two different little spools there of that baker's twine. But that black sure does look like it could be an early espresso. And the gold brings in the gold that's in the designer series paper. So that is today's project. Again, the PDF. I'm going to scan this template. And so the little hash lines are where you score or draw to find your middle. And then just follow the numbers around it, and just start putting down your designer series paper. So look for a PDF this evening, and I hope that you will share what you did while we were crafting together, if you were able to follow along. And you know what? I'm going to hold up this right here. I'm going to hold this up so that you can see how big you cut your designer series paper. Come on, Facebook, catch up with me. Here we go. If you want to screenshot those cutting dimensions, I'm just going to leave it here for a second. That way, you can be working on these while you're waiting for the PDF. And remember, you're just working clockwise around the center, starting above your middle, and then just keep working clockwise around until you're all done. Okay? So thank you for hanging out with me. It feels so good to be back doing a Facebook Live. I will, after lunch sometime, I will jump in over in the group and see what you've been doing. I'd love to see this patchwork done in like Christmas. That was a really good suggestion. Could make some beautiful Christmas cards, or any other themed designer series paper that you have in mind. So have a blessed day, and I'll be checking in with you a little later. Stay tuned for an announcement about the barn quilts. It'll probably be coming this weekend. And yeah, I'm going to let you go for now. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, you're welcome, Debbie. Thank you for being here. Sharon says, what were the score lines on the front? So, Sharon, vertically, your score lines are at 1.5 and 2 3/4, or 1.5 inch from both sides. Okay, that's the vertical score lines. Horizontally, in landscape, your score lines are going to be at 1 3/8, 4 1/8, but I believe it's 1 3/8 from both sides, depending on how you look at how you do it. Okay, and then that will give you your middle right here to start working from. Okay. All right, everybody, I'm going to let you go. And we'll be chatting soon. Bye. And many blessings to you too, Jasmine.